Pokemon Heart Gold with only one Larvitar landed us our first defeat, but let's move on to a new challenge. Can I beat Pokemon FireRed with one Psyduck? Let's look at Psyduck's stats. They are all about average with the exception of Special Attack, so hopefully we can get a nature that will help out with that. We will be ×2 weak to Grass and Electric, so I'll have to be careful when it comes to take on Erica and Lieutenant Surge. Our move pool is okay for the beginning. I'm not too crazy about Hydro Pump. Sure, it's powerful, but the odds of it missing and low power points leaves it to be desired. I feel Water Pulse will serve us very well early on, and Surf will carry us through the rest. But who knows, my opinion might change as the challenge goes on. These videos tend to get me to try things I never would have otherwise considered. We get a few options for TMs to help with type coverage, so I'm looking forward to that. Some of the move tutors may prove useful throughout the challenge as well. Something else for me to keep in mind. In Generation 4, moves were divided by physical and special attacks regardless of their typing. As were in Generation 3, normal, fighting, flying, ground, rock, bug, ghost, and poison types were considered physical attacks, as were water, grass, fire, ice, electric, and psychic were considered special attacks. Do keep in mind I'm writing this script as I go through the challenge, so this will all be written before I get started. Comment down below your guesses if I can win or not. Let's go over the rules. Only Psyduck in battle, I can get other Pokemon for HMs, no glitches or exploits, and no items in battle, with the exception of held items. With that being said, let's do this. Using the Universal Randomizer, we swap Squirtle for Psyduck, and we nickname him Mob. To those who get the reference, have a psychic high five. Our first battle with our rival is up, and it goes pretty well so far as our scratches do more damage than Bulbasaur's tackle. Let's see our stats. We get the Rash nature and the Damp ability. Rash raises our special attack but lowers our special defense. So that's good and bad. While level grinding in Viridian Forest, we had a mishap of getting poisoned by a Weedle and we don't make it back to the Poké Center in time. Gotta pick up some antidotes. Even the trainers with Weedle give us trouble. We try out the optional rival battle. Pidgey's up. Mob uses Scratch and Pidgey uses Sand Attack, lowering our accuracy. Our next Scratch misses and we are hit with Tackle. Another Scratch brings Pidgey down to below half HP and we are hit with Tackle again. And then another Scratch takes Pidgey down to red HP and Pidgey misses Tackle. And then a final Scratch knocks out Pidgey. Bulbasaur and Mob tackle and scratch each other until Bulbasaur eventually goes down. We fight our way through Viridian Forest once more, and I started to run low on scratches. So I had to get creative. On one of the bug catcher's Metapods, I was down to 4 uses of Scratch remaining. So Mob uses Scratch so the Metapod could use Harden. This gave us the opportunity to disable Harden. I've never done this before, so I was curious what would have happened. Since Metapod couldn't use Harden, it was forced to use Struggle, which doesn't do a whole lot of damage. After some time, Disable wears off and I try again. Missing the first try, but getting Disable to work on the next try. A couple more Tail Whips until Disable wears off again, and Mob uses a single Scratch to knock out Metapod. On the last bug catcher that we have to battle, we only have 2 uses of Scratch left, so we spam Tail Whip for a few turns before using Scratch. Mob gets poisoned this turn from Poison Sting, so it's now or never. The Scratch brings Weedle to under half. We take another Poison Sting and the next Scratch takes it down. With that, we make our way out of Viridian Forest, arriving in Pewter City. I never thought the first area would give us so much trouble. But hey, that's part of the fun. Taking on the first gym will be interesting since we don't learn Confusion until level 16. Let's see if we can defeat the Rock-type gym before that. Case in point of my concerns, we can't even get through the camper's Geodude. Even when I try to disable either of its moves, we can't outlast a single Geodude. Gonna need to level grind. We level up to 16 to take on the gym again. What a difference Confusion makes. We take Geodude down in 2 hits of Confusion, and same goes for the Sandshrew as well. Now, Gym Leader Brock is up. Mob uses Confusion bringing Geodude's HP below half, and it uses Tackle on us. The next Confusion knocks out Geodude. We use Confusion on Onix, doing decent damage. Onix then tries to use Rock Tomb but misses. Mob uses Confusion again, bringing Onix to red HP, and it misses another Rock Tomb. A final Confusion finishes off Onix. First gym badge, done and dusted. Now it's on the Mount Moon. On the way through, I pick up the Helix fossil. That's all. Nothing way to say here. Just outside Mount Moon, we find two move tutors, one that teaches Mega Punch, and the other teaches Mega Kick. We decide to teach Mob Mega Punch as it's a decent upgrade to Scratch. So right now we have a couple options. Either take on Nugget Bridge or the Water Gym. Let's try the Water Gym first. Gym Leader Misty's up. Staryu is hit with Confusion, bringing it down to half. Staryu then uses Harden. A second Confusion takes down Staryu. Starmie uses Water Pulse, but Mob misses Mega Punch. Starmie then uses Swift, bringing us down to about half HP. Then Mob hits with a Mega Punch. We hit with another Water Pulse and then use Disable. Swift brings Mob down to red HP, and then our next attack barely does any damage. A final Swift knocks out Mob. Okay. We might need to level up some more before trying that again. We level grind a bit and take on our rival on Nugget Bridge. Pidgeotto uses Quick Attack and Mob lands a Mega Punch, getting Pidgeotto down to under half HP. Pidgeotto uses Quick Attack again, and we use Confusion to finish off Pidgeotto. Bulbasaur is hit with Confusion, but then uses Sleep Powder, putting Mob to sleep. Mob stays asleep as Bulbasaur sets up Leech Seed. Mob doesn't wake up next turn and is hit with Vine Whip, getting us down to yellow HP. But Leech Seed pushes us to red HP. So our only hope is to wake up next turn, but Mob doesn't wake up, and another Vine Whip takes us down. On our next attempt, Mob uses Confusion on Pidgeotto, confusing it, but Pidgeotto still uses Gust. The next Confusion brings Pidgeotto down to red HP, and it still uses Sand Attack despite being confused. Pidgeotto snaps out Confusion and hits with a Quick Attack, and Mob uses one more Confusion to take down Pidgeotto. Mob hits Bulbasaur with Confusion, nearly taking it down but also confusing it. The Confusion makes Bulbasaur hit itself to red HP. Then another Confusion knocks out Bulbasaur. Abra is then one-shot by Mega Punch. Rattata uses Quick Attack and Mob's Confusion misses. And then same thing happens next turn. Mob is hit with a crit Quick Attack and then uses Confusion to bring Rattata down to red HP. The next Quick Attack brings Mob into red HP as well, and Rattata is finished off with Confusion. Pretty tough battle, but we did it. But with that done, let's rematch the Water Gym. Mob uses Confusion on Staryu as it uses Water Pulse. The next Confusion takes down Staryu and we level up to 30. Starmie uses Water Pulse, luckily not being very effective, but we miss our first Mega Punch. Starmie goes for Swift, doing about the same amount of damage, and Mob lands a Mega Punch, nearly brings Starmie down to half. Mob is hit with another Water Pulse, and it responds with another Mega Punch, nearly taking down Starmie. Misty then heals Starmie with a Super Potion, and Mob hits with Confusion. Water Pulse brings Mob down to 1/4 HP, but then hits with a crit Mega Punch, ending the battle. Second gym badge, done and dusted. But we also obtained TM03 Water Pulse, and we teach it to Mob. Next up is our rival battle on the SSM. Oh god, my notes say I equip a Cheeto Berry, but it's meant to be a Chesto Berry. But yeah, I equipped a Chesto Berry to Mob to protect us from Ivysaur's Sleep Powder. Pidgeotto is one-shot by Water Pulse, and Mob levels up to 35. Ivysaur is one-shot by a crit Confusion. I guess we didn't need that berry. Raticate is one-shot by Water Pulse, and Kadabra is one-shot by Water Pulse. Wow, what a difference a stab move makes. We pick up HM01 Cut from the captain, and we're off to the next gym. Gym Leader Lieutenant Surge is up. Voltorb is one-shot by Water Pulse. Pikachu is one-shot by a crit Water Pulse. Raichu is hit by Water Pulse, going down to 1/4 HP, and then uses Thunder Wave, paralyzing Mob. Raichu then uses Double Team, and Paralysis prevents Mob from attacking. Raichu uses Shockwave, bringing us down to yellow HP, and we are paralyzed again. A final Shockwave knocks out Mob. On our next attempt, Mob lands a Mega Punch on Raichu as it uses Double Team. Mob's next Water Pulse knocks out Raichu. We got much luck here in that run. Third gym badge, done and dusted. On our way to Rock Tunnel, we find TMO40, Aerial Ace, and teach it to Mob. This should at least give us coverage against Grass-type Pokemon. Arriving in Lavender Town, we go to Lavender Tower to battle our rival. Pidgeotto uses Quick Attack before being one-shot by Water Pulse. Ivysaur is hit by Aerial Ace, nearly going down, and then goes for a Poison Powder but misses. Mob then uses Confusion to take down Ivysaur. Gyarados lowers Mob's attack with Intimidate as it's sent out. Mob uses Confusion and Gyarados uses Thrash. Mob lands a Mega Punch, bringing Gyarados to yellow HP as it continues to thrash and then becomes confused. Gyarados is hit with confusion, and then it hurts itself due to the confusion, knocking itself down. Growlithe intimidates Mob even more, but then is one-shot by Water Pulse. And finally, Kadabra is one-shot by Water Pulse. Rock Tunnel may have overloaded us a little bit. We'll see how the rest of the challenge goes. We're going to skip the rest of Lavender Tower right now since we need the Self Scope to proceed fully anyways. On to CELADON City. Once we arrive there, we pick up tea from an old lady, we give drinks from a vending machine to a little girl who gives us TMs in exchange. These might come in handy later, they might not. We pick up the coin case, we scour the game corner floor for loose coins. Makes me feel like a kid at Chuck E. Cheese again. We play a few slots and actually win big. That's never happened to me before. But we're still gonna need to come back later. Our aim is for 4,000 coins to purchase the TM13 Ice Beam. But for now, let's try for the next gym. While taking on the trainers, I noticed something. Almost all the grass types in this generation are part poison, so I simply just have to use Confusion to take them down. The only one that we didn't use Confusion on was an Execute. Gym Leader Erica is up. Victory Bell is hit with Confusion, bringing it down to red HP, as it uses Stun Spore, paralyzing Mob. Erica uses a Hyper Potion, restoring Victory Bell back to full, but Mob lands another Confusion, bringing it right back down to red health, and causing it to be confused. Next turn it hurts itself in Confusion, knocking itself down. Tangela sets up Ingrain as Mob hits it with a Confusion, getting it to red, but then Tangela restores itself back to yellow. Tangela then hits Mob with a Giga Drain before going down to Aerial Ace. We then level up to 45. We've gotten very lucky with this paralysis so far. Vileplume lands a Giga Drain, getting us to red HP, and then Mob responds with Confusion, only bringing Vileplume down to 1/4 HP. Vileplume then uses Acid, knocking out Mob. Not bad on our first attempt, so let's try that again. On our next attempt, now that we're level 45, Victory Bell is one-shot by Confusion. Tangela is nearly one-shot by Aerial Ace, but survives and sets up Ingrain like before. Erica uses Hyper Potion, but Mob brings it right back down to red health again. Another Aerial Ace knocks down Tangela. Vileplume is hit with Confusion, bringing it down to 1/4 HP. We got to go first since we weren't paralyzed this time, and then Vileplume attempts Stun Spore but misses. A final Confusion knocks out Vileplume, ending the battle. 4th gym badge done and dusted. Now let's take on Team Rocket. Team Rocket boss Giovanni is up. Onyx is one-shot by Water Pulse. Rhyhorn is one-shot by Water Pulse. Kangaskhan uses Fake Out, causing Mob to flinch. Next turn we use Water Pulse, doing a decent amount of damage, and Kangaskhan uses Bite. Another Water Pulse hits Kangaskhan down to red HP and confusing it. Kangaskhan then hits itself, being confused. Mob goes for Mega Punch to end the battle. A touch overkill, but we won. Yay. Now that we have the Self Scope, we can head back to Lavender Tower. On the way back, we give one of the gate guards the tea that we picked up from the old lady so that we can detour through Saffron City. We'll come back here later though. We clear out the Restless Spirit and Team Rocket from Lavender Tower. Mr. Fuji then gifts us the Pokeflute. We now have a few options. We could either head down Cycle Road to Fuchsia City, or head back to Saffron City. I'm going to use the Pokeflute to clear one of these Snorlaxes from our path to head down to Fuchsia City, and then we visit Saffron later. We arrive in Fuchsia City and waste no time and head straight for the gym. There are a few things we can do in this city, but I want to see how we fare against this gym first. While battling trainers in Fuchsia City Gym, Mob levels up to 50. Let's take a look at stats now. They're okay. Compared to my previous 2 challenges, we're the slowest.
Try your best.
Comment down below whether you think I can still stand a chance beating this challenge. With that confidence booster out of the way, Gym Leader Koga is up. Coffee is one-shot by Confusion. Muck is hit by Confusion but only goes down to about 3/4 HP, and then uses Minimize. Mob uses Confusion again to bring Muck down to 1/4 HP as it throws Sludge at us, poisoning Mob. A third Confusion takes on Muck. Coffee is sent out and the poison starts to eat away at Mob. Luckily, Coffee is one-shot by Confusion. Last up is Wheezing, and the poison brings Mob to under half health, but Wheezing is brought down with a crit Confusion, leveling Mob to 52 and ending the battle. 5th gym badge done and dusted. We traversed the Safari Zone for 2 things. the Warden's Gold Teeth, and HM03 Surf. As a reward for finding Warden's Teeth, he gives us HM04 Strength. We then teach Mob Surf. Back to Saffron City. Now we can't battle the Psychic Gym yet since Team Rocket's blocking our way. But we can take on the official fighting dojo. I imagine it will be a sweep. And I was right. Though I may have been a little cocky, as I don't even bother to heal right before facing the dojo's master. Whoops. Hitmonlee is brought down to half by confusion, becomes confused, but still lands high jump kick, bringing Mob down to 11 HP. The next confusion knocks out Hitmonlee. Hitmomhan. Thanks, autocorrect. Hitmonchan is hit with confusion going down to half and then hits Mob with an ice punch, bringing him down to 5 HP. Another confusion takes on Hitmonchan, ending the battle. I pick up Hitmonlee as a reward. I knew if I didn't mention what I picked, you all would ask. Come to think of it, ask anyways. Comments are good for the YouTube algorithm. See? I whistled in that reference somewhere. Now let's take on Team Rocket at Silphco. While we're here, our rival wants a battle. Pidgeot is one-shot by Surf. Venusaur survives a confusion and uses Sleep Powder but misses. Mob then uses Aerial Ace to knock out Venusaur. Gyarados lowers Mob's attack with Intimidate. Mob then uses Confusion but barely does any damage. Then Gyarados uses Leer to lower our defense. Mob attempts to use Mega Punch but misses, and Gyarados uses another Leer. Mob's second Mega Punch hits, getting Gyarados to half, and it responds with Bite, but it only does a little bit of damage. I'm surprised since Leer got us twice. Mob goes for another Confusion, bringing Gyarados down to 1/4 HP, and it retaliates with another Bite. A third Confusion takes it down. Growlithe is one-shot by Surf, and Alakazam is then one-shot by Surf. A nearby NPC gives us Lapras for saving them, even though we're not going to use it. Next up is Team Rocket's boss, Giovanni again. Nidorino barely survives the first confusion and then uses Horn Attack. The next confusion knocks it out. Nidoqueen is one-shot by Surf. Kangaskhan is hit with confusion and then uses Tail Whip to lower Mob's defense. We continue with another confusion as Kangaskhan uses Rage. The next confusion brings Kangaskhan down to red HP as it hits Mob with another Rage. Mob then finishes off Kangaskhan with one more confusion. Rhyhorn is then one-shot by Surf, ending the battle. Team Rocket has blasted off again. As a reward, the Silphco president gifts us the Master Ball. Since it's been a while, I go to exchange more coins and we obtain TM13 Ice Beam, and teach it to Mob, replacing Aerial Ace. With that out of the way, it's gym time. Psychic Gym Leader Sabrina is up. Kadabra is one-shot by Surf. Mr. Mime is one-shot by Surf. Venomoth is hit by confusion, survives, and misses Supersonic. Sabrina uses Hyper Potion, and then Mob uses Confusion on Venomoth. The next confusion knocks out Venomoth. Alakazam is hit with Surf and barely survives, and then uses Calm Mind to raise its special attack and special defense. Sabrina then uses another Hyper Potion, and Mob uses Confusion, barely doing any damage. Mob then uses Surf, only bringing Alakazam to 1/4 HP, and then he uses Calm Mind again. Mob then uses Surf to knock out Alakazam, ending the battle. 6th gym badge done and dusted. Now on to CINNABAR Island. The gym is locked, so we need to pick up the secret key and then access the gym. While I go through these questions, I want to point out, I've been skipping a lot of gym trainers as I feel I'm already over-leveled as is. There are still a ton of other trainers I've skipped over as well that I can battle if I have to. Gym Leader Blaine is up, and it goes as you would expect. Growlithe is one-shot by Surf, Ponyta is one-shot by Surf, Rapidash is one-shot by Surf, and despite Arcanine intimidating Mob, it goes down in one shot by Surf. 7th gym badge done and dusted. We get caught up with the Sevi Island stuff. Rescuing Losset from a Hypno. Hypno lured away a little girl. Oh man. Anyways, with that out of the way, it's time to take on the last gym. There are a ton of strong trainers to battle in this gym and gain experience from here, but I feel like we're currently over-leveled at this point in the game that we don't need that extra bump. Case in point, Gym Leader Giovanni's up. Rhyhorn is one-shot by Surf, Dugtrio is one-shot by Surf, Nidoqueen is also one-shot by Surf, then Nidoking is one-shot by Surf, and we level up to 64. Nice. And wouldn't you know it, the second Rhyhorn is one-shot by Surf. 8th and final gym badge done and dusted. So before moving forward, I want to put myself on a little mission. Let's find leftovers. It's a held item that restores HP every turn. To do this, we need the item finder. To get the item finder, we need at least 30 Pokemon registered in our Pokedex. So I need to catch and evolve Pokemon to achieve this. We also pick up TM27, Return. Probably add some runtime to this challenge for me, but it should be worth it. Sad side note, Psyduck can't learn Psychic in Generation 3. I'm so used to Psyduck being able to learn Psychic in Generation 4, so I just missed this fact. Oh well, let's hope that the power of confusion can get us through the rest of this challenge. With all the badges collected, it's time to head up to the Pokemon League. But before we do that, our rival wants the battle. Pidgeot is hit by Surf but survives and hits Mob with a wing attack. Honestly, I forgot I had Ice Beam available. Oops. The next Surf knocks out Pidgeot. So then next turn, Mob uses Ice Beam on Venusaur, bringing it down to half HP, and it uses Razor Leaf, bringing Mob down to 18 HP. The leftovers gets us back up to 27 HP. Another Ice Beam knocks out Venusaur. Leftovers brings Mob out of red health to 3-6. Rhyhorn is one shot by Surf. Gyarados intimidates Mob and we restore another 9 HP. I decide to try Return regardless, barely doing any damage, and Gyarados uses Hydro Pump, taking Mob down to red HP. Gyarados is then hit by Ice Beam and becomes frozen. Then Leftovers rolls us out of red HP again, so the next Ice Beam finishes off Gyarados. Growlithe is one shot by Surf. Alakazam is nearly knocked out by Surf and it uses Future Sight. Not that it matters as Surf knocks out Alakazam, ending the battle. As we venture forward, Mob levels up to 69. Nice. It's time to take on the Pokemon League. Comment down below whether you think we can do it or not. I'm hoping we don't need to get Mob to level 100 to complete this challenge, but we'll see. Let's do this. Lorelei is up. Dewgong is hit with Return as it sets up Hail. Coupled with Leftovers, Hail doesn't really do anything. Mob uses Confusion, doing a little damage, and Dewgong uses Safeguard. Next turn we crit with Confusion and we are hit with Ice Beam. That wasn't part of my plan. So of course, Lorelei uses Full Restore on Dewgong, having us start back at square one. We then go for another Confusion. The next Confusion brings Dewgong to 3/4 HP and uses Surf, doing about the same amount of damage. Mob uses yet another Confusion to bring Dewgong down to half HP and is hit with Surf, bringing him down to 69 HP. Nice. This goes on for another round. Mob then uses Return to knock out Dewgong. Cloyster is hit with Confusion, doing a decent amount of damage as it sets up Spikes. Cloyster then uses Protect, blocking our Confusion. Protect is used again but fails, and our next Confusion gets Cloyster down to red HP. But Cloyster follows up with a third Protect. Cloyster goes for a fourth Protect in a row, but fails, allowing our Confusion to hit, knocking out Cloyster. Slowbro is hit with Ice Beam, barely taking any damage, and it uses Amnesia to raise its special defense greatly. Mob hits with Return, and Slowbro uses Amnesia once more. Mob goes for Surf, but it doesn't do too much damage either, as Slowbro uses a Surf of its own. We don't have anything that can do much damage against Slowbro. Return brings Slowbro down a bit more, and it uses Yawn on Mob. That's not good. The next Return finishes off Slowbro. Jinx is sent out and Mob falls asleep from Yawn. Mob is sound asleep when Jinx uses Attract, so even if we do wake up, we might not hit due to it being in love. At least our Leftovers still works? Mob stays asleep as it's hit with Ice Punch. This happens for 2 more turns before Mob wakes up. We hit with Surf, but another Ice Punch takes down Mob. I suspect this was going to be trouble, so we're gonna have to level grind a bit. At level 73 we try again, but fail. Again at 76, and then at 78. We nearly won, but then we get frozen. So then after 10 attempts, at level 80, our luck finally turns. Dewgong is hit by Return and then uses Ice Beam, barely doing any damage, and Leftovers restores a bit of Mob's HP. Dewgong is hit with another Return, going down to red HP, and then sets up Hail. Lorelei uses Full Restore on Dewgong and then is hit by Return. Another Return from Mob brings Dewgong back down to red HP as it uses Safeguard. One more turn knocks out Dewgong. Cloyster is hit by Confusion, taking him down to half HP, and it sets up Spikes. At this point, Hail stops, so now the Leftovers are just free HP. The next Confusion takes down Cloyster. Surf takes down a chunk of HP off of Slowbro as it yawns towards Mob. The next Surf brings Slowbro down to red HP and it goes for another yawn again, almost mocking us. But it works as Mob falls asleep. As Mob sleeps, he is hit with Slowbro's Surf and somehow manages to chomp on his leftovers. 3 more rounds of sleep happen before Mob wakes up and lands Surf, knocking out Slowbro. Jinx is hit by Return, barely surviving and landing an Ice Punch on Mob. As expected, Lorelei heals Jinx back up to full HP, but Mob lands another Return, and a final Return takes down Jinx. Lapras is hit with Return and then responds with Ice Beam. Mob somehow keeps himself in green HP with leftovers. Then a crit Return knocks out Lapras, ending the battle. Whew. My biggest hurdle in that fight was sleep. Both Slowbro and Jinx made my life torture. But moving on. Bruno's up. Onix is one-shot by Surf. Hitmonchan is one-shot by a crit Confusion. Hitmonlee is hit by Confusion, bringing his HP down to under half a quarter, as well as confusing it, causing Hitmonlee to hurt itself. Bruno then heals Hitmonlee back to full HP and Mob uses another Confusion. The third Confusion knocks out Hitmonlee. Machamp is hit by Confusion, almost going down to half HP, and then uses Scary Face to harshly lower Mob's speed. Machamp then uses Cross Chop, doing quite a bit of damage to Mob, who responds with more Confusion, nearly knocking out Machamp, as it restores HP with a Citrus Berry, and Mob does the same with leftovers. Bruno full restores Machamp, surprising nobody, as Mob hits yet with another Confusion. A Cross Chop brings Mob down to 1/4 HP, and then Confusion still doesn't take down Machamp. Things are looking dire at 69 HP, but the next Cross Chop misses and we take down Machamp with a final Confusion. And the last Onix uses Earthquake, but then is one-shot by Surf. No regrets getting leftovers. Agatha is up. Gengar is hit with major damage from Confusion, but survives and uses Double Team. But our next Confusion still hits to take down Gengar, and Mob levels up to 81. Out of habit, I get Mob to use Confusion on Golbat, where we could have used Ice Beam for more damage. But luckily it was a crit and knocks out Golbat in one shot. Arbok intimidates Mob. But we then use Confusion to take a good chunk off of Arbok, who responds with Sludge Bomb. Another Confusion finishes off Arbok. Agatha's next Gengar is hit with Confusion, causing it to be confused and hurt itself. The Gengar then heals itself with a Citrus Berry. Luckily the next Confusion is able to knock down Gengar. Haunter takes Confusion and somehow survives. In response it uses Hypnosis on Mob, but more like Onosis. Agatha takes this opportunity to heal Haunter back to full as Mob snoozes away. Mob then hits the snooze button on this battle as Haunter uses Dream Eater. Mob stays asleep and Haunter uses Mean Look. Next round Mob still won't wake up and gets its dreams eaten again. Finally Mob wakes up to unleash a crit Confusion on Haunter to knock it out in one shot. Who knew Haunter would be more trouble than 2 Gengars? Alright, next opponent. Lance is up. Gyarados intimidates Mob right at the get-go. Mob uses Confusion but doesn't do too much damage, and Gyarados uses Dragon Rage. Mob attempts Return despite the intimidation, doing about the same damage, and then Gyarados uses Bite. Mob goes for Return again and then is hit with Bite. I know that sounds weird, but I'm going with it. Unfortunately, Lance heals Gyarados back to full, but we land a crit Return, bringing the Water Onix down to 1/4 HP. Our next Return wasn't enough, however, as Water Onix survives with a sliver of HP and then uses Bite on Mob. A final Return knocks out Gyarados. Dragonair is one-shot by Ice Beam. The next Dragonair is one-shot by Ice Beam as well. And then Dragonite is one-shot by Ice Beam. Aerodactyl is faster, so it uses Ancient Power, but it's one-shot with a crit Ice Beam. This was the biggest reason why I went through the trouble of getting Ice Beam from the game corner. With that done, it is now time to take on the champion, our rival, Gary. Pidgeot is one-shot by Ice Beam, and Mob levels up to 82. Venusaur takes an Ice Beam, uses Growth, and then eats a Citrus Berry to recover HP. Then our next Ice Beam takes down Venusaur. Alakazam is hit with Surf and then uses Psychic on Mob. Gary then uses a full Restore, but we still hit with Surf, repeating the process. Gary does this again, but Surf doesn't bring Alakazam down to red HP this time. No matter, as the next Surf knocks out Alakazam. Rhydon is one-shot by Surf. Gyarados gives us the same trouble as it always does.
Yo, you're intimidated.
Mob uses Ice Beam, doing a decent amount of damage to the Water Onix, and it responds with Thrash. We go for Confusion to see if it does any more damage before getting hit with another Thrash. Those are starting to hurt. Luckily, Gyarados becomes confused. Mob tries return this time, and we get Gyarados down to under 1/4 HP, and it even hurts itself in confusion. But you know what's coming. Gary heals the Water Onix back to full. Back to square one, and a return doesn't do much. We hit with Ice Beam, and wouldn't you know it, freezes the Water Onix. Now that's some cold sushi. Just in time as we ran out of Ice Beams. But Gary full restores Gyarados to full again, unthawing it. At least we get a crit on Confusion? Mob tries Surf and it doesn't do too much damage, and Gyarados uses Dragon Rage. Mob hits with Confusion and it hits back with another Dragon Rage. One more Confusion takes down Water Onix. Gyarados. Angry Sushi. You know what I mean. And finally, Arcanine is down in one shot by Surf. There we go. We did it. We beat Pokemon FireRed with only one Psyduck. That was a fun challenge. It did make me nostalgic playing through a Kanto region again. Not sure what I'm going to be doing for the next challenge yet, so leave a comment down below on suggestions for future challenges. Also check out the previous challenge videos I've done. If you like these videos, please give it a like. If you want to see more of these challenge videos, please consider subscribing. So, without any further ado, this is SolarPrimal signing out, and bye for now.